So hello everybody, let us deal with the numericals of kinematics. So let us begin with the first question. The position of an object moving along x-axis is given by x equals a plus bt square, where a equals 8.5 meter and b equals 2.5 meter per second square, and t is measured in seconds. What is its velocity at t equals 0 and t equals 2 seconds? What is the average velocity between t equals 2 second and t equals 4 second? So this is the question which we are encountering. So let us first of all deal with the basic definition. If displacement is a function of time, so then we can say that velocity can be written as dx by dt, and acceleration can be written as dv by dt. And over here we will obtain an equation of v as function of time and a is function of time. But the average value of velocity will be written as the change in displacement by time taken in the given segment of time. So if we approach this particular question, so I can write that displacement as function of time is given as 8.5 plus 2.5 t square, and hence if we obtain the equation for velocity, so it will be written as dx by dt. And if we differentiate this equation with respect to time, so derivative of 8.5 will be 0, 2.5 is constant, and derivative of t square with respect to dt can be written as 2t. So we can write this equation as 5t. So velocity as function of time is equal to 5t. Now the question is asking what is its velocity at t equals 0 and t equals 2 seconds. So at t equals 0, in this particular question, if I put t equals 0, so we get instantaneous velocity at t equals 0 to be 0, and at t equals 2 second, if we put 2 in place of t, so we write as 10 meter per second. Now the next question which is asked is the average velocity between t equals 2 second and t equals 4 second. So if I locate the position of the particle at t equals 2 seconds, so it will be 8.5 plus 2.5 times of 2 square. So over here we will obtain something like 2 squared is 4 times 2.5 plus 8.5, and then we obtain something like 18.5 meter at t equals 2 second, and at t equals 4 we obtain 8.5 plus 2.5 times 4 squared. So on solving this we obtain 16 into 2.5 plus 8.5, that is 48.5 meter. So now the question is asking us to calculate average velocity, and if we write average value of velocity, then we can write it as displacement at 4 second minus position at 2 second, or displacement at 2 second divided by the duration of time, that is 2 seconds. So we can write it as 48.5 minus 18.5, which is equal to 30 by 2, and we get the average value to be 15 meter per second. So with this we end this particular question. Let us move to the next question. The radius vector of the particle with time t varies as r equals at 1 minus alpha t, where a is a constant vector and alpha is a positive factor. Find the velocity v and acceleration of the particle as function of time. So if we are calculating for velocity, so we can go with the definition v equals dr by dt. So if position vector is a function of time, we write velocity as dr by dt. So if we are writing it as dr by dt, on differentiating, we obtain derivative of a t plus alpha t square with respect to dt. A is constant, and we can differentiate this function to obtain a 1 minus 2 alpha t. So this is the equation for velocity of the particle as function of time. So if we go for the calculation of acceleration, we are denoting acceleration with w over here. We write acceleration as dv by dt. Now when velocity is a function of time, we write acceleration as dv by dt, and on differentiating this equation, derivative of a 1 minus 2 alpha t with respect to dt, we obtain something like a derivative of a will be 0 because it is constant, and then we will obtain minus 2a alpha. Now the next question is asking us the time interval taken by the particle to return to its initial position. So if the particle is returning to its initial position, so it implies that the position of the particle r is equal to 0. So if we equate this equation to 0, we write at 1 minus alpha t equals 0. So from here we get t equals 0 and t equals 1 by alpha. So these are the two possible solutions which we say. So the time interval for which the particle was in motion can be written as 1 by alpha seconds. And now the question is saying the distance covered during that time. Now this is an interesting part over here. The distance covered during that time. So if we look at this particular question, so we say that the distance or the position vector was written as at 1 minus alpha t, and the equation for velocity was obtained as a 1 minus 2 alpha t. 1 minus 2 alpha t. So if we look at the equation of velocity, we can say that the velocity becomes 0 at a certain time, and then we calculate it as a minus 2a alpha t equals 0. So from here I can write a equals 2a alpha t, or we get t equals 1 by 2 alpha. So at time t equals 1 by 2 alpha, the velocity becomes 0. So over here I can say that we can consider velocity in two ways as function of time. One aspect is between t equals 0 to t equals 1 by 2 alpha, where velocity is positive and again becomes 0, and after which time 1 by 2 alpha to t equals 1 by alpha, when the velocity is negative and the particle is coming back to its original position. So we can consider it in these two ways. So if we wish to calculate the distance traveled in this time, so we are calculating it in this way: integration of v dt from 0 to 1 by 2 alpha, and then we add it with 1 by 2 alpha to 1 by alpha integration of v dt, and we basically take the mod value for both the equations. That is the positive side. You can understand it in this way. Let me give you one more explanation for this. Suppose I project a particle from the surface of Earth with a certain speed. So it will go over there and return back. So what we have done in this particular question is we have located this time when the velocity becomes 0. Now I am saying for this time the velocity is positive, and for this time the velocity is negative. So if we wish to calculate the total distance traveled, we are calculating distance for this part and distance for this part, and we are adding the two distances traveled, and we are taking the mod value to ignore the negative aspect which we might get in the question. So if we solve it this way, so we get the distance traveled can be written as a 1 minus 2 alpha t dt from 0 to 1 by 2 alpha plus integration of a to alpha t minus 1. We have done this to ignore the negative part, dt from 1 by 2 alpha to 1 by alpha. So if we solve this integral equation, we get s is equal to a upon 2 alpha. Let us move to the next question. The velocity of the particle moving in the positive direction of the x-axis varies as v equals alpha root x, where alpha is a positive constant. Assuming that at the moment t equal to 0, the particle was located at the point x equals 0, find the time dependence of the velocity and acceleration of the particle. The mean velocity of the particle averaged over the time that the particle takes to cover the first s meters of the path. So we are beginning with this question again using the definition, that is, we write v equals dx by dt, and this is written in terms of alpha root x. So from here I can write it as dx upon root x is equal to alpha dt, and we can integrate both sides. So on integration I obtain x to the power minus half plus 1 upon half is equal to alpha t. Now since the question is saying at t equal to 0 the particle is at x equal to 0, so I can say that at a certain time t the displacement is x, and we will get this equation in this form, that 2 root x equals alpha t, and from here I can write, squaring the equation, x equals alpha square t square by 4. So this is the time dependence equation for displacement, which we have alpha square t square by 4. Now from here I can write v equals dx by dt. So if I differentiate the equation of displacement as a function of time, we get alpha square by 4 and t square can be written as 2t. So we obtain this equation to be alpha square t by 2. And the value of acceleration can be written as dv by dt. We obtain it as alpha square by 2. So for the first problem, we are looking for the time dependence of the velocity and acceleration of the particle. So velocity is equal to alpha square t by 2, and acceleration is coming to be constant alpha square by 2 independent of time. Now the next part, the question is asking the mean velocity of the particle averaged over the time that the particle takes to cover the first s meters of the path. So if the question is asking first s meters of the path, so from this equation I can say that if the displacement is equal to s, so let us calculate the time taken to cover this distance, and from here we get t equals 2 root s by alpha. 2 root s by alpha is the time taken to cover the first s meters of the path, and hence if I write the value for average speed or average velocity, then I can write it as the total displacement by time taken. So we have calculated the time taken as 2 root s upon alpha. So if we substitute the value of time over here, 2 root s upon alpha, so we get something like this, alpha root s by 2. So the average value of velocity will become to be equal to alpha root s upon 2. So let us move to the next question. A train starts from rest and moves with a constant acceleration of 2 meters per second square for half a minute. The brakes are then applied and the train comes to rest in 1 minute. So if we begin with this question, the acceleration is constant, so we can use the three equations of motion. So acceleration is equal to 2 meters per second square, and it is accelerating for half a minute. So half a minute is implying that it is accelerating for 30 seconds. And then the brakes are applied and the train comes to rest in 1 minute time. So during this time, when the initial speed is 0 and it is accelerating for 2 meters per second square, so the distance covered is going to be half at square, because ut is 0. So half a t square, and we get 900 meter distance is covered during this time. Now the brakes are applied and the train comes to rest in 1 minute time. So during this time, the velocity attained by the train is equal to at, v equals u plus at, u is 0. So we say that the velocity attained is 60 meter per second. And now the brakes are applied and the train comes to rest in 1 minute time. So if the train is coming to rest, so this becomes the initial velocity for the braking time, that is 60 meter per second, and it is coming to rest in 1 minute time. So we mean to say that v equals u plus at. So from here we get acceleration as minus 1 meter per second square. So for after brakes are applied, the distance covered can be evaluated as v square equals u square plus 2as S2, and S2 is equal to 1800 meter. So the total distance covered can be written as S1 plus S2, that is equal to 2700 meters. The next part, the question is asking the maximum speed attained by the train. So the maximum speed attained by the train is 60 meter per second, after which the brakes were applied. So 60 meter per second is the maximum speed attained by the train. And the next question is the position of the train at half the maximum speed. So half the max, if it is uniformly accelerated motion, so I can say that while it is accelerating at half the maximum speed, the first position will be at 15 seconds, because the half speed is 30 meter per second, and if it is accelerating uniformly, so it will happen at half the time, that is 15 seconds. So I can say that while accelerating, the displacement or the position at half the maximum speed is at 15 seconds. So half at square, 15 square is 225. So we get 225 meter. And then after the brakes are applied, the half the maximum speed is attained after the brakes are applied at 30 seconds. So at this part, again the half speed will come at t equals 30 seconds. And at t equals 30 seconds, I can solve this equation as S equals ut minus half a t square, 30 second can be written as 900, and then we obtain it as 1800 minus 450. So it is equal to 1350 meter. So after the brakes are applied, this is 1350 meter after the brakes are applied. So by that time it have already covered a distance of 900 meter, and then this brake is applied. So the second answer will be 900 plus 1350. So if I add 900 to 1350, we obtain it as 2250 meter. So this is the first solution for this particular problem. Let us understand it again once we have all the data. So the train is starting from rest. From here, initial speed is 0, and it is accelerating uniformly at 2 meter per second square for 30 seconds or half minute. So in this time, the displacement is half at square. So ut is 0, half at square is 900 meter, and the velocity which it attains is 60 meter per second, which is the maximum speed attained. Now at this point, the brakes are applied and the train comes to rest in 1 minute time. So this time this is going to serve as the initial speed, and the brakes are applied and it is coming to rest. The final velocity is 0 in 1 minute time. So while the brakes are applied, the acceleration is minus 1 meter per second square, and it covers a distance of 1800 meter after the application of brake. So the total distance covered is going to be 900 meter during acceleration and 1800 meter during retardation, that is 2700 meter. Now in the next portion, the question is asking the positions of the train at half the maximum speed. So while accelerating, the rate of acceleration is constant and it attained the maximum speed in 30 seconds. So it will attain half the maximum speed in 15 seconds. So displacement in the first 15 seconds, ut is again 0. So we are applying half at square. So this equation we get 225 meter. Now after the brakes are applied, the retardation is taking place again at the constant rate. So the half the speed will again take place in the midway time, that is t equal to 30 seconds. So in 30 seconds the displacement covered is ut plus half at square. Now since acceleration is negative, we are putting a negative sign and we get 1350 meter. So this 1350 meter is after the brakes are applied, before which 900 meter distance is already covered. So we add 900 to this answer and we get 2250 meter. There is one more approach for this particular question. So I am showing you one more method for this particular question. We can understand this graphically. So let us draw a graph for this particular motion. The acceleration is constant. So the velocity will go on increasing. So we begin with the zero velocity. This is Vt graph which we are drawing. And it is accelerating with 2 meter per second square for half a minute. So half a minute can be written over here as 30 seconds. And in 30 seconds, it have attained a velocity of 80. Initial velocity is 0, so we just need to multiply a into t. That is 60 meter per second. So I need to draw a straight line because the acceleration is constant. So we are drawing a straight line. Now in another 1 minute, that is at 90 seconds, the particle is again, the train is again coming to rest. So we are drawing again a straight line like this. So now the question is asking the total distance covered. So from the graph, I can say that the total distance covered can be calculated by calculating the area under the graph, because the velocity time graph is not in the negative side. So the distance and displacement is going to be same. So we write it as half base into height for the triangular area. And on solving this, we obtain 90 into 60 divided by 2, which is equal to 2700 meter. The maximum speed attained by the train is already mentioned in the graph, that is 60 meter per second. So for this particular question, velocity equals 60 meter per second is the maximum speed attained, V maximum. The position of the train at half the maximum speed. So for determining this position half the maximum speed, 30 meter per second, I can simply draw a dotted line like this at 30 meter per second. So this is the area which we need to discuss for the first answer, for the first position, and till this time is the area which we need to add to get the second position. So if I calculate till 30 meter per second, it is 15 seconds because it is uniformly accelerating. So at half the time it will attain the half the maximum speed. So till this area I am calculating S1, or the first position, half into base into height. So we get 225 meter. And if we calculate for this area, the second area which we need to add, or the second position, so I am calculating in two ways. First of all, we are calculating the triangular area, half base into height till the maximum speed is attained, and then we are calculating half. This time we are writing sum of parallel side. This trapezium, this is 60, this is 30, sum of parallel side into height. Now it is taking 30 to 60, 90, that is 60 seconds. So this is going to be 30 seconds. So I multiply this by 30. So on solving this, we obtain the second position where the particle is at half the maximum speed. So we can solve this out. 60 into 30 divided by 2 will give us 900 meter, plus 90 into 30 divided by 2 will give us 1350 meter, and on adding both, 1350 plus 900 we obtain 2250 meter. So this question can also be solved in a graphical way like this. Let us move to the next question. A driver takes 0.2 seconds to apply the brakes after he sees a need for it. This is called as the reaction time of the driver. If he is driving a car at a speed of 54 km per hour and the brakes causes a deceleration of 6 meter per second square, then find the distance traveled by the car after he sees the need to put the brakes on. So over here we are considering that initially the car is traveling at 54 km per hour. So the first thing that we do is we express it in meter per second. So we obtain 15 meter per second. So the car continues to travel for 0.2 second. So without the application of brake, which is the reaction time. So we write it as S equal ut because there is no retardation or acceleration in this time. So this distance covered is something which we calculate first. 15 into 0.2, which is equal to 3 meter. Now the brakes are applied. So u equals 15 meter per second. The brakes are applied, then the final velocity will be 0 and the acceleration can be written as minus 6 meter per second square. So during this it will cover again a certain distance. We are calling it as h2 and we calculate it as v square equals u square plus 2a s2. 15 squared minus 2 into 6 into s2. So from here we can calculate s2 equals 225 divided by 12. So we can calculate it as 225 divided by 12, which is equal to 18.75 meter. So the total distance which the car traveled before coming to a halt is equal to s1 plus s2, which is equals 3 plus 18.75. That is 21.75 meter. So let us move to the next question. A balloon is dropped. I'm extremely sorry. वापस से करेंगे इसको. So we are dealing with the next question. A ball is dropped from a balloon going up at a speed of 7 meter per second. If the balloon was at a height 60 meter at the time of dropping the ball, how long will the ball take in reaching the ground? So now when we are solving this kind of question, it is important for us to understand that whenever a particle or something is dropped from a moving object, then it acquires the velocity of the moving object. So it acquires the velocity of the moving object. So I can say when the balloon is rising up or going up, the ball is also going to acquire the speed in the upward direction, that is 7 meter per second. So I am considering something like this, that this is the initial state of the balloon in which the question is talking about, and it is at a height of 60 meter when the ball is dropped from the balloon, and the ball is released at this position. So it will acquire the speed in the upward direction of the balloon, which is equal to 7 meter per second, and will start falling under the influence of gravity. So if we begin to solve this particular question, we can take it as that the initial velocity of the ball is going to be plus 7 meter per second because it is in the upward direction. The displacement, which is equal to minus 60 meter, is in the downward direction, and the acceleration, which we are taking as minus 10 meter per second square, is in the downward direction. and we are asked to calculate the time when the ball will hit the ground. So if we solve this equation, we can solve it as s equals ut plus half at square, and we can write it as minus 60 equals 7t minus half into 10t square. So we have this quadratic equation with us, 7t minus 5t square, that is 5t square minus 7t minus 60 equals 0. So on solving this equation, we get t equals 4.2 seconds. So the ball is going to hit the ground at 4.2 seconds. It is important to understand that in questions like this, whenever the particle is dropped from a moving object, the particle is going to attain the speed of the moving object. Let us move to the next question. A person sitting on the top of a tall building is dropping balls at regular intervals of 1 second. Find the position of the third, fourth and fifth ball when the sixth ball is being dropped. So the question is asking, when the sixth ball is being dropped, you need to determine the position of the third, fourth and fifth ball. So let us start solving the question in this way. So we can say that this is the tall building which the question is talking about, and the ball is released in successive interval from this position. So now the sixth ball is being released and we are asked to calculate the position of fifth, fourth and third ball. So the fifth ball has traveled for the least duration, that is for 1 second. If the sixth ball is being released, if this is the sixth ball, then the fifth ball must have traveled for 1 second time. So this is the fifth ball. So we are calculating the position for the fifth ball first. So we are taking the acceleration due to gravity as 9.8 meter per second square. Now since the ball is being dropped, so I take u equal to 0. And since the A is acting in the downward direction, so we are taking the sign of G as minus 9.8 meter per second square. And the displacement we are going to obtain will be in the negative aspect, since it is also in the downward direction. So we are writing it as minus h. So I am obtaining a general formula for the distance traveled as s equals ut plus half at square. And we obtain it as minus h equals ut is 0 minus half gt square. So we obtain that the distance traveled, or h, is going to be half gt square. So if we put 9.8 over there, we can write as 4.9 t square. So we are getting a function h equals 4.9 t square. Now what we need to do is we just need to put the value of time and get the position of different ball. So for the fifth ball, we are saying for the fifth ball, it have traveled for a duration of 1 second. So if it have traveled for a duration of 1 second, so we are going to write it as 4.9 into 1 square. So it have traveled a distance of 4.9 meter from the top of the building. For the fourth ball, we are saying that it have traveled for 2 seconds, and we are going to write it as 4.9 into 2 square. So 4.9 multiplied by 4 is going to give us 19.6 meter from the top of the building. And the third ball have traveled for a duration of 3 seconds, so it is going to be 4.9 into 3 square. So it is going to give us 9 times of 4.9, that is 44.1 meter. So if I draw this in the diagrammatic way, so the fifth ball have covered the least distance, the fourth ball is somewhere here, and the third ball will cover much larger distance. So let us understand it like this, that the third ball will be somewhere here. So the distance is continuously increasing. So the balls will not be at regular interval. So in case a pictorial question is asked, so you be prepared for the pictorial question as well, that the balls are not going to be in regular distances with each other. They are at irregular distance from each other because they are following a function of t square. So let us move to the next question. A ball is dropped from a height. If it takes 0.2 seconds to cross the last 6 meters before hitting the ground, then find the height from which it was dropped. So we are asked a question like this, in which the question is saying that the ball takes 0.2 seconds time to cross the last 6 meters. So we can understand it like this, that the ball was dropped from a particular building or a tower, and it covered the last 6 meter in a duration of 0.2 seconds. So we have to determine the height from which it was dropped. So if I take this as x, so the total height is going to become x plus 6. So we are beginning like this. Let us consider that the speed when it reaches over here be v. So I can start solving like this, that at t, for the last part of the motion, the initial velocity is written as v. The acceleration due to gravity which is acting in the downward direction is minus 10 meter per second square. And the displacement which is again in the downward direction is minus 6 meter. And the time is given to us as 0.2 seconds. So if we solve for this particular part, we can use the equation s equals vt plus half at square. And the velocity is also in the downward direction, so we will put a negative sign over here as well. So we can write this equation as minus 6 equals minus v into 0.2 minus half into 10 into t square, which is 0.2 whole square. So from here we obtain the speed as v equals 29 meter per second. So now the question is like this, that the particle have fallen through a distance x and have attained a speed which is equal to 29 meter per second. So we have to determine the height x from which the particle is dropped. So if I solve for this part, I say that initial velocity is 0. The final speed which is in the downward direction is 29 meter per second. The acceleration is in the downward direction is minus 10 meter per second square. And the displacement which is again in the downward direction is minus x. So we can write an equation v square equals u square plus 2as, and we obtain something like this, that v square, that is 29 squared, is equal to 2 into 10 into x. So from here we obtain x equals 29 squared by 20, which is equal to 42.05 meter. So the total height from which the ball was dropped is 42.05 plus 6 meter. So we obtain it as 48.05, or we can approximate as 48 meter. So let us deal with the next question, question number 9. A point traversed half the distance with a velocity v0. The remaining part of the distance was covered with velocity v1 for half the time and with velocity v2 for the other half of the time. Find the mean velocity of the point averaged over the whole time of motion. So if I consider this question like this, that we are considering it in a path AB, the particle is going from A to B. And I am taking that the distance AB is equal to 2d. So a point traversed half the distance with velocity v0. So till half the distance, till the distance d, I am taking that the velocity is v0. Now the remaining part of the distance was covered with velocity v1 for half the time and with velocity v2 for the other half of the time. So over here I can take that the distance d1 was covered with velocity v1 for half the time and the distance d2 was covered with velocity v2 for the other half of the time. So for convenience I am calling this point as C and this point as E because we have already used D. So now if I start writing the equation for different aspects, so the first equation which I can write is V0 equals D by T1. Now T2 can be written as D1 by V1 and T3 can be written as D2 by V2. Now from the question I can say that T1 is equal to D by V0. This is becoming my first equation, and since the question is saying the remaining the part of the distance was covered with velocity v1 for half the time and with velocity v2 for the other half of the time, so I can say that the time t2 and t3 are same. So I can write the equation d1 by v1 is equal to d2 by v2. So this is becoming my second equation. So from here we can say that the total time can be written as T1 plus T2 plus T3, which we write it as capital T equals D1 by V0 plus D2 by V0. I am writing capital D purposely as D1 by V0 plus D2 by V0, and then we get D1 by V1 plus D2 by V2. So over here we can express our equation in terms of D1 and D2 as D1 1 by V0 plus 1 by V1 and D2 1 by V0 plus 1 by V2. So we get this equation for the total time. Now the average speed can be written as the total distance covered by total time taken, which we have already evaluated. Now from this equation, from the second equation, we can write it as d1 by v1 equals d2 by v2 equals k. So d1 can be written as v1k and d2 can be written as v2k. So if we substitute all the calculated equations, that is this is the V average equation, this is what we are going to substitute to get our answer in terms of the velocities v1, v2 and v0. So if we substitute these values, we obtain the equation that V average equals 2d upon d1 1 by v0 plus 1 by v1 plus d2 1 by v0 plus 1 by v2, and then on substituting the values which we evaluated, the V average can be written as 2k v1 plus v2 k v1 1 by v0 plus 1 by v1 plus v2 1 by v0 plus 1 by v2, and on solving we can eliminate k. We write it as twice of v1 plus v2 upon v1 by v0 plus 1 plus v2 by v0 plus 1. And the final answer we obtain as 2v0 v1 plus v2 upon v1 plus v2 plus 2v0. v1 plus v2 plus 2v0. So this is how we solve this particular question. It is important that we eliminate the portions which are not given in the question. So that is why we have framed multiple equations to solve this particular question in a very simpler way. So let us move to the next question. A ball is thrown vertically upwards with a velocity of 20 meters per second from the top of a multi-story building. The height of the point from where the ball is thrown is 25 meters from the ground. The question is asking how high will the ball rise and how long will it be before the ball hits the ground. So if we draw a pictorial representation for this particular question, this is the building the question is talking about. The height of the point from where the ball is thrown is 25 meters above the ground, and it is projected up with a speed of 20 meters per second. So the ball will go upward and then fall back to the ground like this. So we can say that the initial velocity is equal to plus 20 meters per second. The first question is asking how high will the ball rise. So this is the point of maximum height. So we take v equals 0 over here. So if we solve for the first part, we write it as v square equals u square plus 2as. And we obtain 0 equals 20 square minus twice into 10 into h max. So from here we obtain h max equals 20 square by 20, which is equal to 20 meter from the point of projection. And from the ground, we say that the displacement maximum is going to be 25 plus 20, that is 45 meters. Now we are calculating how long will it take before the ball hits the ground. So for the ball to hit the ground, the displacement is going to be minus 25 meter in the downward direction. Minus 25 meter in the downward direction. And we treat it as s equals ut plus half at square. So downward is written as negative. So we are writing s equals minus 25 equals ut equals 20t. The acceleration is in the downward direction, so we are writing it as minus half 10t square. So from here, on solving this equation, minus 25 equals 20t minus 5t square, we can write it as t square minus 4t minus 5 equals 0. And on solving, we obtain the positive answer as t equals 5 seconds. One will be a negative root, which is not essential for this particular question because the ball is projected at t equals 0, so the negative time is not having any significance. So let us move to the next question. Two stones are thrown up simultaneously from the edge of a cliff 200 meter high with initial speed of 15 meter per second and 30 meter per second. Verify that the graph shown in the figure given below correctly represents the time variation of the relative position of the second stone with respect to the first. Neglect air resistance and assume that the stones do not rebound after hitting the ground. We are considering g equals 10 meter per second square, and we have to give the equation for the linear and curved part of the plot. So for this particular question, let me first of all explain you the situation, the way we will be solving this particular problem. So we are considering that this is the cliff from which the stones are thrown up simultaneously, and the height of the cliff is 200 meters. The first ball is projected up from here. This is the first ball, the red ball, with a speed of 15 meters per second, while the second ball, which is the green ball, is projected up with a velocity of 30 meters per second, that is twice the speed. So it is obviously evident that the ball projected with a less speed will hit the ground first and will not rebound back according to the question. And I can say that the displacement of the first ball, this is going to be x naught. We will be measuring the distance from the ground. We will be measuring the distances from the ground. So for the first stone, okay. So we are writing equation from the ground. So for the first stone, so we are writing the equations for the first stone. For first stone, so we take initial velocity as positive in the upward direction plus 15 meter per second, and acceleration in the downward direction, that is minus 10 meter per second square. So we are writing that the position of the first ball x1 is going to be x naught, that is the distance from the ground which is already added, plus ut plus half at square. So u1t plus half at square. Obviously this value will be put as negative, and x naught is equal to 200. So from here we get x1 equals 200 plus 15t minus on putting over here 10, we get 5t square. So this is the first equation which we have. If we solve this equation, that is for the time when the stone hits the ground, that is x1 is equal to 0. So we get a quadratic equation in t, and on removing 5, we can write it as t square minus 3t minus 40 equals 0. On solving this equation, we get t equals 8 seconds. And this is the reason why in the graph till 8 seconds we are seeing a particular type of the graph, and after which the nature of the graph is changing. So now since the stone projected was at t equal to 0, so we have taken till t equal to 8 seconds. So now let us write equation for the second stone. So we are writing equation for the second stone. So for second stone, ut equals 30 meter per second, and acceleration is the same, minus 10 meter per second square. So if we write x2, we can write it as x2 equals x naught, which is the original height of the cliff, plus u2t, which was in the upward direction, plus half at square, which we will put it in the negative sense. So we say x2 equals 200 plus 30t minus 5t square. So this is the second equation which we have for the second stone. So the time for the second stone to hit the ground, that is x2, will become equal to 0 when the second stone hits the ground. And we can again modify this equation into taking 5 common, t square minus 60 minus 40 equals 0. So on solving this equation, we get t equals 10 seconds. So from the equation of x1 and x2, we can say that the relative position, so now we are talking about the relative position of the two stones. The relative position of the two stones. So we can say that the relative position of two stones can be written as x2 minus x1. And if we put this over there, x2 minus x1, So we are having this equation as 200 plus 30t minus 5t square subtracted with 200 plus 15t minus 5t square. 200 plus 15t minus 5t square. So on solving, we obtain x2 minus x1 equals 15t. So that is, we say that the nature of the graph will be linear. So the nature of x2 minus x1 is going to be linear, and the maximum separation, let us go back to graph. So the graph is going to be linear, x2 minus x1 equals 15t. And if we look at this equation, we can clearly see that at t equal to 8 seconds, on putting in the equation, we get 120 meter. So now the problem is, at t equals 8 seconds, only second stone will be in motion, because after striking the ground, the first stone will come to rest. And the quadratic equation which we obtain for the second stone, that is 200 plus 30t minus 5t square, will only be evident after the first stone strikes. So after the first stone strikes, that is after 8 seconds, the equation which we have, x2 x1 will become 0. So we have x2 minus x1 as 200 plus 30t minus 5t square, which is a equation of curved path, and hence the equation after the first stone strikes is a curved path. So we have given an explanation for this graph, and have also written the equation for the linear part, which is this one, and for the curved path. So let us move to the next question. The velocity of a cart is started at t equals 0, varies with time as shown in the figure. Find the distance traveled in 10 seconds and draw the position time graph. So the speed is constantly rising in 10 seconds. So we can say that it is an example of an accelerated motion, and the acceleration can be calculated by finding the slope of the graph. So it reaches a speed of 10 in 4 seconds, and it reaches a speed of 20 in 8 seconds. So we can say that the acceleration equals constant for this particular graph, and we can calculate it as a equals 10 by 4, which is equals 2.5 meter per second square. So if it is an accelerated motion and it is starting from rest, so we can write it as half at square, so 2.5 into t square. Now the question is saying we have to calculate the displacement till the time of 10 seconds, that is 2.5 into 100 divided by 2, that is 250 divided by 2, we get equals 125 meter. So if we draw a graphical variation of the same, we say that the displacement time graph is going to be a graph like this, in which the acceleration is constant and positive. So and after t equals 10 seconds, the displacement will become 125 meters. Let us move to the next question. Figure given below shows the graph of the x coordinate of the particle going along the x-axis as a function of time. Find the average velocity during t equals 0 to t equal 10 seconds. So let us solve the first part, and the instantaneous velocity at 2, 5, 8 and 12 seconds. So we will be dealing this question in one by one way. So we are first of all calculating the average velocity. So average velocity from 0 to 10 seconds. So at t equals 10 seconds, the particle is at a displacement of 100 meter, and at t equals 0 the particle is at 0 mark. So we can say that the average velocity is going to be 10 meter per second. And now the question is talking about the instantaneous velocity at 2, 5, 8 and 12 seconds. So till the time duration, between the time duration t equal to 0 to t equal to 2.5, the velocity is constant, and we can calculate as the slope of the graph 50 by 2.5. So at any point between 2 second and 2.5 second, the speed is going to be 20 meter per second. So at 2 second, the speed is 20 meter per second. Now from 2.5 second to 7.5 second, the position is not changing. So we say that the velocity is 0. So velocity at t equals 5 second is going to be 0. Now after 7.5 seconds till 10 second, it is again accelerating, and we can calculate that the velocity is becoming constant, and this time we write it as 100 minus 50, that is 50 upon 2.5. We again get it as 20 meter per second. Now post 10 second, that is 10 second to 15 second, the position is constantly decreasing, and it is coming to its initial position in 15 second. So this time we say that the velocity is in the negative sense. So after 10 second till 15 second, it is in the negative sense. So we say 100 upon 5 with a negative sign, that is minus 20 meter per second. So for this kind of question where the position time graph is given, we can calculate the average velocity and instantaneous velocities in this way. Let us move to the next question. A point travels along the x-axis with a velocity whose projection v is presented as a function of time by the plot in the figure given below. We have to draw the displacement versus time graph and acceleration versus time graph. So if we understand this particular question, so there are different aspects to this particular question. So I am redrawing this velocity time graph, and then we will understand it in one by one way how to draw the acceleration versus time and displacement versus time graph. So from 0 to 1 second, the velocity is rising. So we can say that it is an example of accelerated motion. From 1 second to 3 second, the velocity is constant, and hence we say that acceleration will also become 0. After 3 second, the velocity is constantly decreasing, and it reaches minus 2 at 6 seconds. So we say that the acceleration is negative. So it is 1 second mark, it is 3 second, this is 4 second mark, this is 6 second. And from 6 second to 7 second, again the velocity starts rising, and we say that the acceleration is positive. So it is 1 meter per second, and this is minus 2 meter per second. So if we first of all plot the acceleration time graph, so till 1 second, we are making the necessary points over here in the graph. To get a better understanding. So if we calculate the slope of the graph, we are getting 1 by 1. So over here in this portion, the slope of the graph is 1 by 1, or we can say that the acceleration is constant at 1 meter per second square. And now the velocity is constant, so the acceleration becomes 0 from 1 second to 3 seconds. Now in this portion from 3 second to 6 second, the acceleration can be calculated as 3 by 3, that is minus 1 meter per second square. The change in velocity over here is 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3, and over here is again we have 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3. So we can say it as 3 by 3, which is equals minus 1 meter per second square. So from 3 seconds to minus 6 seconds to 6 seconds, the acceleration is minus 1 meter per second square. Now in this 1 second, the velocity increased by 2. So we can say that acceleration from 6 second to 7 second is 2 meter per second square and is positive. So we can extend the graph a little to 2 meter per second square. And we say that between this 6 to 7 second, the acceleration is 2 meter per second square. So this is how the graph is going to look like for the acceleration versus time graph. Now we are going to discuss about the displacement time graph. So I am removing acceleration time graph. We have already noted the certain acceleration which was needed for us to do the calculation. That is in this portion, I am writing acceleration as plus 1 meter per second square. Then acceleration is 0. And in this portion, acceleration is minus 1 meter per second square. And in this portion, acceleration is plus 2 meter per second square. So we are removing the acceleration time graph and making space for the displacement time graph. So now we will be understanding displacement time graph. So displacement can be written as the area under the graph. So till 4 seconds, from 0 to 4 seconds, the displacement is positive, the graph is in the positive portion, and we can calculate that the positive portion, the displacement is half, it is trapezium, so sum of parallel side into height, so we say it is equal to 3 meter. So the displacement in the positive portion is going to be 3 meter, and that is the maximum displacement of the particle which is possible. After which the graph is in the downward side, that is the displacement is decreasing for the next 3 seconds. And if I calculate from 4 seconds to 7 seconds, we can calculate displacement as half into 3 into 2. So we are going to get minus 3 meter. So basically I can say that the displacement time graph is going to begin from 0 and end at 0, because the total displacement is coming out to be 0. So we don't have to care about the negative aspect. The total displacement is starting from 0, and at 7 seconds the displacement time graph is again coming back to 0. But at different point the nature of the curve is going to be different. So this is the reason why we are going to be very observational about this particular question, because the velocity is playing its game in different times. So in this part the velocity is increasing, acceleration is constant, so I draw displacement time graph like this. Now from 1 second to 3 seconds the velocity is constant, so displacement time graph will be a linear graph like this. Now the velocity is decreasing and acceleration is negative, so the particle is going to follow a graph like this, and then the nature of the graph is going to come down like this till t equals 6 seconds. So in this part, the displacement was still increasing while the particle was decreasing its speed. Once the speed becomes 0 over here, the particle changes its direction of motion and it starts coming back. So the displacement also starts decreasing from t equal to 4-second mark, and this is the point where the displacement is maximum, that is 3 meter. Now after 6 seconds, the acceleration is positive but the velocity continues to be negative. So it is going to be a graph like this, and the displacement becomes 0 at 7-second mark. So it is important to understand the nature of displacement time graph, which is constantly changing at different time intervals. So let us move to the next question now. So the question is stating, a ball is dropped from a height of 90 meter on a floor. At each collision with the floor, the ball loses 1/10 of its speed. Plot the speed time graph of its motion between t equals 0 to t equals 12 seconds. So now we are going to discuss till 12 seconds, and every time the ball is bouncing, the ball loses 1/10 of its speed. And we are worried about the speed time graph, so we are not worried about the directional aspect. We only have to consider the speed. So now we begin the question in this fashion. So the ball is dropped from a height of 90 meter. So if we take downward as negative, which I always do, so I take s equals minus 90 meter. And since the ball is dropped, so I take the initial velocity or the speed as 0. And the g is acting in the downward direction, so I am taking acceleration in the downward direction minus 9.8 meter per second square. So we are first of all calculating the first time when the ball is going to hit the ground. So we apply s equals ut plus half at square. So we solve it as minus 90 equals 0 minus half into 9.8 t square. From here we obtain t equals 4.28 second. So now we can say that at t equals 4.28 second, the ball is going to hit the ground, and it is going to hit the ground with a velocity v equals u minus 9.8 into time t, which is 4.2 second. So we get the velocity which is equal to approximately 42 meter per second with a negative sign. The negative sign is implying that the ball is moving in the downward direction. And over here we put another aspect, the velocity of bouncing back. So the question is saying that it is bouncing back with after losing 1/10 of its speed. So I can say with the 90% of the speed. So we are doing 0.9 v and we calculate it to be 37.8 meter per second. So till this aspect, if we talk about the motion of the ball, so the ball have fallen freely from the point of 90 meter mark and it strikes the ground over here at t equals 4.2 second, and after striking at 4.2 second, it is rebouncing back with a speed of 37.8 meter per second. So now we are thinking in this way. So it is bouncing back with 37.84 meter per second, and now we are calculating the time when it is again going to hit the ground. So if it is again going to hit the ground, it will reach a certain maximum height and it will again hit the ground. So I can take it in this way, that initial velocity as plus 37.8 meter per second, and the displacement is going to be 0 because it is again going to hit the ground, and a as minus 9.8 meter per second square. So if we put the equation for this part of the graph, so I say ut plus half at square, and if we solve this out, s equals 0, 8t minus half 9.8 t square. So from here we obtain t equals that is 7.71 second. So 7.71 second after making the first impact. So from here we are ready to draw our speed time graph, which the question is asking us to do. So it is again going to make an impact at 7.71 second and lose 10% of its speed. So if we draw this particular graph, we can draw it in this way. So this is the speed time graph we are talking about. So the ball is going to go attain a certain speed, a maximum speed of approximately around 42 meter per second. And this is going to take place roughly around 4 seconds. So I'm putting over here roughly 4 seconds. And the speed is going to drastically decrease, and we got the decreased speed as 37.8. So the speed is going to come down at 37.8 meter per second at approximately 4.28 second, which is this part. And after this point it is going to rebound back to a certain height where its speed will become 0, and after reaching that height it will again come down to hit the ground again with the same speed. And this complete duration took place in a time duration of 7.71 second. So we can add 7.71 plus 4, that is 11.71 second. So over here at this point the ball again makes the impact with the ground and loses 10% of its speed, again. So if we lose 10% of this speed, we can calculate the next speed as 37.8 times 0.9, which is equals to 34.02. So just after making the impact, the speed is going to drop almost instantly to 34.02 meter per second, and again the speed will start changing. So since the question is asking us to draw it till 12 seconds, so we are restricting our graph till here. So I hope the motion is clear. I am again explaining the motion. So while coming down, the speed went on increasing. So the speed went on increasing till it came down, and after making the impact with the ground, the speed was 37.8 meter per second. Now this time the ball, this time over here the red part was the 90 meter to the ground, and after this at 4 seconds it hits the ground, and then it is rising up with the speed of 37.8 meter per second. It reaches a certain height and again falls to the ground. So this duration is this part where it is 11.7 second, and then it again impact with the ground and rises back with a speed of 34.02 meter per second. And again its speed will go on decreasing till it again reaches the highest point, and again it will come back to the ground and again loses 10% of its speed. So since the question is asking us to restrict ourselves to 12 seconds, so we are restricting ourselves to 12 seconds, and this is how the nature of the graph is going to look like. So with this, we have completed the discussion of questions for the motion in one dimension, and we have also discussed the graphical aspect for the motion in one dimension part of kinematics.